What's up everybody, welcome back, thanks for watching. You've probably seen some of my other videos, in which case you're probably asking, why is this guy building another desk / table? And the reason is this: when your 9-year-old stepdaughter comes up and asks you nicely to build her a new desk, there's only one answer to that question. She's a little cutie pie, and she even made a cameo in my office desk build video.
Hi! So I'm giving you tips about painting. So, there's no sense of just taking your time and just going like a little baby.
So, I couldn't say no. I'm going to talk about the glitter top coat towards the end of the video, so if you just want to see that and my quick review about it, you can go to that portion of the video. The timestamp should be on your screen right now. This is going to be built in the same construction as most of my other tables and desks. If you've seen any of those videos, you'll see that this is very similar to that. We're building our own legs, but besides that, simple pocket hole construction on this whole thing. As always, I'm putting the dimensions of my workpieces up on my whiteboard for reference. I made a mistake this time. I actually wrote down the wrong digit, and I made 2 bad cuts, and then I realized my issue and went back and fixed them. I'm using 1x6 for this whole project. Actual width of those boards, of course, is 5.5 inches. For the top, I'm making it out of 3 pieces 40 inches long. Select grade boards generally have a good edge on them. No need to joint these. I usually take them after cutting them to length over and edge join them just using glue and clamps. I'm cutting these next pieces for the aprons. These first 2 cuts I made were 32 inches, which was incorrect. I had to go back later and cut 2 pieces that were 34 instead. I set the table saw to 4 inches to cut the aprons down to the correct width. It takes 3 pieces 2¼ inches wide to make each leg. That means I need 12 of those for 4 legs. I can get 2 of those out of each one of these cut to length pieces of board. That means I need to cut 6 of these. Okay, so for each leg, I take 3 pieces and I kind of look at them and try to arrange them in a way where the grain looks pleasing to the eye. And then I hold them together. I put one end of the leg up against something flat. And that's just to kind of get it in alignment so I can draw a mark. And I'll use the mark later on to make sure everything stays together and in the right place when I'm doing the glue up. So I wanted to do something about the harsh corners that are on all these legs. I just put a real small chamfer on them, and that kind of gives them a little of a decorative effect as well. So I take my legs over to the miter saw. I cut off just the slightest amount I possibly could from one edge and make it all clean. And then I flip that over, I butt it against my stop block and push that out to the point where I'm cutting off the slightest amount I can on the other side. Lock in my stop block right there, and then I just cut all the other legs to that length. Gonna take a combination square here and set it to 3/4 inch. Mark that at each corner, and then I'm going to use those lines as reference for placement of the legs. I like to mark these 1, 2, 3, and 4 just so I can remember which legs I want to go where. Try to drill these pocket holes in a place on the leg that's not going to interfere with attachment of the aprons. Next, I just make some quick marks on the aprons where I want to drill the pocket holes. Attach all the legs real quick. Then start putting the aprons in place. Now I'm lining up the outside edges of the aprons with the inside of the chamfer I put on the legs. If you were to put it flush with the outside of the leg, there'd be a weird triangular gap right there. So I'm lining them up with the inside of the chamfer cut. Then I just clamp them down and attach them. So I'm going to cut 2 more pieces and make them the same dimensions as the 2 smaller aprons. They're going to attach to the legs parallel to the existing aprons, only on the inside, and I'm going to use those to attach the sliders. This drawer is very simple construction. Here's the assembly. For all of these screws, I drilled pilot holes and countersunk them. Next, I take 2 pieces of baseboard that are 1/2 inch thick. I use them as a spacer. I put the drawer in upside down on top of them. And then I'm placing the slides on the side just to make sure everything fits correctly. I'm going to measure here 3/4 of an inch in from the inside of the chamfer. That's to allow for the positioning of the drawer front. I'll make a line right there, and I'm going to put the front of my drawer slide even with that line. Once I get everything in place, I'm going to get a pencil, and I'm going to draw a line along the top edge of the drawer slide. Then I'm going to take the drawer out and clamp that piece of the drawer slide to the desk and then screw it in. I had to use the crap screws that came with these drawer slides. The only ones I had were panhead and they wouldn't allow the slide to work. It was annoying. Take one more measurement here for the length of the drawer front. After I get this measurement, I'm going to subtract 1/8 of an inch because I want to leave a 1/16 inch gap on each side and on the top of this drawer front. Okay, so for attaching the drawer front, I'm just going to show you how I do it. There are probably like 100 ways that are better than the way I do it, but I'm just going to keep doing it this way until I get a bad result. So what I do is I drill a bunch of holes in the front of the drawer, and then I take some screws from the inside. I screw them through until there's part of it just a little bit protruding through to the front. Then I put the drawer in place, and then I put my spacers on the drawer front. I put it in place, and I just smash it up against the drawer so that the screws will make indentations where I need to pre-drill some holes on the drawer front. Then I do that, and then I just place the drawer front right back on top of those protruding screws, and it sits right in place, and I screw it together. If somebody knows a better or a quicker or easier way, please tell me in the comments. This is just a regular 1/2 inch round over going on the top of the desk. Okay, so I'm gonna save you the trouble of watching me put 2 coats of white paint on this desk. That's all I've done so far since I finished assembling it. I just did 1 coat. I sanded with 220, and then I put another coat of white on. Originally, I wasn't sure how I was gonna finish this desk. I thought about doing some chalkboard paint on the top, but chalk's kind of dusty. I thought about trying to find some of that paint that turns into like a dry erase type surface so she could draw on it. But I couldn't find any of that. So while I was looking around, I found this stuff called Krylon Glitter Finish Sparkle Infused Top Coat. You might already know about this, and maybe that's why you're here to watch this, but I was not familiar with it. I went ahead and opened some of it up. I put it on a scrap piece. It's pretty clear. It just has a lot of glitter infused in it, but it's very gelatinous, I guess is the word. So it's not like the consistency of paint. We're going to see how it goes on a bigger scale than me just putting it on scrap. So I'll put a coat on, we'll see how it goes. So I just want to say here that this stuff, for some reason, it does not show up on video well at all. It doesn't show up on photographs well at all either. So I don't know if it's just a process of the light. You know, a lot of times and from certain angles, you can't tell that this stuff is on. It might look like you've missed a spot, but it's just because you're not looking at it in the right light. So I noticed myself putting this on a little bit thicker in certain spots than I thought I was because it looked like I needed some. So you really need to kind of look around and get different viewpoints of it to catch the light just right to see if you're spreading the glitter out evenly. And that's one challenge with using this stuff that I noticed was it was very hard to get the glitter patterns kind of even throughout. You might see it a little bit thicker in some areas depending on how much you put in one spot before you started spreading it out. And you'll probably notice in some of this video that I started kind of dabbing it on in certain places and then spreading it around that way to try to fill in some of those spots. I like the product pretty well. I think the results came out nice. I used white paint underneath, and I think it might show up a little bit better with some kind of other color underneath it, but I guess that's part of the beauty of the product is that it really just puts a glitter top coat on it. It doesn't change the color really of anything. So you could put any different shade underneath this that you wanted, and you'd probably get a lot of different varying results that way. I really can't stand glitter. I just hate glitter because it gets everywhere. But I want to say that this stuff doesn't really get glitter anywhere. It is stuck in that stuff incredibly well. I noticed some around a little bit when I was sanding. You'll see at the end I sanded this down just with 220. It didn't take any of the glitter off and it just gave it more of a smooth surface. This stuff leaves kind of a little bit of a rough-ish surface. So I put some 220 on it in the very end and the results were completely fine. The last step here is to attach the drawer pull. So just measure the drawer front, figure out your center point, mark it off, make sure it is the center point also top to bottom. And then I get a width of the drawer pull screws. This one has 2 screws, so I measure that distance. I split it in half and then I measure out that far on each side of the center point, drill the holes, and screw it on. I just thought of it while I was doing this voiceover, but I just want to let you know that this is not a paid promotion at all. I'm not sponsored by this product or anything like that. I have 300 subscribers, so I mean, I wish they would pay me to do this stuff, but I'm just trying to give an honest review of this stuff because I found it and I decided to go for it. I wish it was really apparent what this looks like, but like I said before, on film it just doesn't show up that good. In person you can notice it pretty well. If you're across the room, it might actually be a little difficult to see unless you catch it in the light. But when you get up at it and you're sitting at the desk, it's perfectly apparent that this thing has glitter all over it. So thanks again for watching. You guys are awesome. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.